Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. I'm working on some special blocks for a Christmas memory quilt. So if you want to see how I put together a block like this, please stay tuned. So I have my plan for my memory quilt. I showed this a little bit to you in the last video, but I just want to go over these special blocks. This is what we're going to be making, or what I'm going to be making first. My whole plan is to have a quilt that has 30 blocks, but 4 of these blocks are going to come from these special shirts. And so I have 2 blocks from a work shirt, one with a large hurricane logo, and then one with the Texas A&M logo. So what I'm going to do is plan out how I want to put these in the quilt. I do know that I want my block size to be 18.5 unfinished. So that's the measurement that I'm working toward. If I don't get that, I'm not super stressed out about it because all the blocks will be squared up to the same size. But I just want to make sure that I have that in hand. Okay? So what I've done is, in order to get these special blocks, I've decided to make 2 types of blocks. And I have each one here. I've made a little plan. This is my composition book that has a lot of my quilt designs in it. If you follow my channel, you've seen this book before. But what I've done is I've planned out each special block to hopefully get an 18.5-inch unfinished block. To start with, this black, for the larger blocks, for the larger panels, I'm going to do a solid border here. But then for the smaller panels, I'm going to use 2 borders. So hopefully in the finished blocks you can see that. Now what I've done is I've used the graph to create an 18-inch square. And I've drawn around it in my black pen. And then I've put the measurements of the block in the center, so you can see that here in the pencil. Okay, now what I did was, for each block I figured out measurements for side triangles and then for top and bottom triangles. Now the way that I figured that out was I took my total 18 inches and I subtracted this, the measurement of the center, and I divided that number by 2, and so that told me how much would be left on the outside, how wide those rectangles would be. And so for each one I have side rectangles and top and bottom rectangles, and you can see that in the solid, in the 1 solid border, and then in the 2 borders here. It's the same thing where I've just divided that, divided those measurements in order to get what I need, or what I feel like I need for these blocks. Okay, so this is for 2 of them. And then here's for the other 2, and I've labeled each one, and I've just put the sizes that I think I need for my my rectangles. Okay, now when it comes to, I think we'll stop right there. So I wanted to take just a minute and show you my process for putting these blocks together. I thought that I had recorded it a little bit more specifically, but it doesn't look like I did. So I'll just kind of talk you through it. I have gone ahead and cut out my rectangles from all of the shirts, and I've sewn, on this example that you're going to see, I've already sewn one of the frames on. And so I started with that center portion, and now I've already sewn on the shirt portion. And then for this outer border of this, I've taken pieces of the same shirt to create this outer frame. And as you can see here, I think this is important. You want to make sure that you sew with that outer frame on top of the first frame. I tried it the other way and it did not work out. I ended up having to go back and restitch. And here you can see that I'm doing it the same way for this second shirt, or second block, just sewing the frame on top of the other portion. When I did it before, the frame fabric didn't stretch like I would have liked it to, so it ended up being too short. but surprisingly, when I flipped it over, it worked perfectly. So I'm chain piecing this for these blocks, and it's worked out really well to have everything chain pieced. It's going to look great, and it's not really hard to stitch together, which I'm really excited about. So you can see I'm taking some time now to press things, and I'm pressing towards the outer frame on both of these shirts, just pressing toward the outer frame, and here I'm getting ready to add another piece on. So you can see here, I'm just going back, same process. You put the new piece on top of the previous frame, and I'm holding the bottom there. I didn't say that earlier. I'm holding the bottom. For some reason, it seems to allow the feed dogs to do what they need to do. I realized I ran out of bobbin thread, which is something that happens. So I'm just changing that out right quick so that I can get back to stitching. So it just takes a while for my machine to do that step, but it's still, what you can't see is at the top of the machine I'm threading the bobbin. But there it is, and we're about to be back in business. I'm just taking a second to thread the needle again, and then we're going to be stitching. And my bobbin thread ran out actually on the other block, so now I'm adding this second block. Again, putting the new framing border on top of the other part, and then just holding that down so that you can see it nicely. And it looks like I was looking for something else to watch, so doing that right quick too. And you can see that I'm holding that bottom, holding the bottom two pieces, just holding them together at the bottom, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And this process is very simple. I will say that I backed the shirt, that red and white stripe you see there. I've actually backed that with the Pellon SK135. That is my interfacing of choice for my bears and for any shirts that I have to put into this quilt. So you'll see that interfacing come up in a couple of more videos because I still have more shirts to cut, and whenever I need to do some backing to stabilize the shirts, I am going to use the SK135. On the particular block that I'm sewing now, that shirt was thick enough that I didn't have to back it, so I just gave it a nice press before I cut it into strips for the blocks. So right now I'm just going through each one and adding these outer borders, and then we'll see what the final blocks will look like. And then it looks like I have one more stitch to go before I give everything a nice press, and then we'll be all set. Here I'm adding my leader ender, my Pellon strips, because I don't like to take them off until I've added an ender. So now we'll get to see the whole project. I hope you've enjoyed the process of making these special blocks. Hopefully the process of deciding on the pattern and creating these blocks has been helpful for you. I have the completed blocks here behind me. The two at the top are the ones that had the two borders that I added, or the two frames, and then the ones at the bottom only have the one frame. These, I have not measured them, but I think they're at about 18 inches or 18 and a half inches, and I will measure them. but I'm not going to square them up yet until I get all the blocks done. So join me next time when we get ready to cut up all the shirts and prepare them for the main block of our quilt. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, please leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Remember that we're going all the way to 10K subscribers, and your subscribing to my channel helps me reach my goal. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!